extremely hard race. It was the toughest I've ever had in my life. Yeah, what a feeling.
Next up, we move over to Class T, a small but very tough field featuring some big names, including newcomers Juandre and Nico Nienaber. Class T has seen some changes over the years, changing from the premier class of the sport to a more accessible, cost-effective entry to rally raid racing. The Nkomazi 400 saw just 2 entries to the class, with the old hands fending off the newbies in the form of Nico and Juandre Nienaber, who made their SARRC debut in Malalan. The two crews blasted their way into the Pirelli qualifying race, but the more experienced Ford Ranger crew of Hendrik and Heinrich Du Plessis came through to take the win. Their time was 1 hour, 2 minutes and 54 seconds, while the Nienabers brought their King Price Renault Duster home 7 minutes and 9 seconds behind them. And this makes it official. The Du Plessis pairing pipping the Nienaber pairing by 7 minutes and 9 seconds during the qualifying race. Time for the Class T Warriors to tackle the tough race route of the Nkomazi 400. Brothers Nico and Juandre Nienaber are by no means newcomers, as they have been campaigning regular rallies for many years. But the Nkomazi 400 was their first taste of national rally raid racing. Unfortunately, their debut was short-lived as they failed to finish the racing loops in their King Price Renault Duster. This meant that Hendrik and Heinrich Du Plessis were in a perfect position to sit back, enjoy themselves and the beautiful scenery while racing to Class T victory in their Ford Ranger. There were not many names on the Class T leaderboard at the end of the race, but a victory in any round of the SARRC is hard to come by, especially considering the father and son survived 2 punctures and a small fire to earn a well-deserved victory. And so the victory champagne was enjoyed by father and son from the top step of the winner's podium in Malalan.
Yeah, it feels good. Just wish that there was a bit more competition. So, but yeah, we're blessed.
We'll get back to the final production class late in the show. But now let's shift our attention to the special vehicle category, starting off with the highly competitive crews in Class G. Class G, also known as the side-by-sides or sideys, has become one of the premier feeder classes for the SARRC. Not that the guys in this class pull any punches. As a matter of fact, the last few championships have been as close as they can, with Van and Mostert emerging victorious more often than not. This year, however, there would be no chance of Vanna adding to his titles, as it was time for his son Ian to, quite literally, take the wheel.
It's very exciting. So this year I'm going to drive and my dad will be navigating for us, which will be very fun. The role swap is quite challenging for both of us, but I'm sure we'll do great.
As it turned out, all 4 crews completed the Pirelli qualifying race, though Ewald van Rensburg and Johan Schippers lost 17 minutes and 8 seconds to the leaders, while Ian Mostert went 3rd fastest on the day. He had Francois and Neil de Witt ahead of him, who were in turn trounced by the experienced Glenn Theron and Craig Galvin. Their winning margin, 6 minutes and 6 seconds. And here's confirmation of Theron's win in the Pirelli qualifying race, followed by the de Witts and Mosterts. But qualifying is exactly that, qualifying. The Nkomazi route would prove to be a tough challenge for these pocket rocket machines in Class G. Van Rensburg and Schippers were initially in the middle of this battle, but they got stuck in Loop 1 and were forced to settle for an eventual 3rd place. This meant that the battle for the class win would turn out to be a battle between Motonetics teammates Glenn Theron and Craig Galvin and the Mosterts, with Ian doing the driving duties after father Vanna swapped the steering wheel for the roadbook. It was a battle of epic proportions that was ultimately decided by just 70 seconds, after more than 8 hours worth of racing. When the flag was waved, it was the Mosterts who came out on top to claim the first Class G victory of 2023. There it is, the 72nd or 1 minute and 10 second winning margin in favour of the Mosterts over teammates Theron and Galvin, with Van Rensburg and Schippers rounding out the top 3. And this is what the father and son pairing had to say after the taste of victory bubbly from the top step.
What was it like giving directions to your son? Quite difficult at the beginning. I must say it was terrifying actually, but we got settled in.
Onto the monstrous Class A special vehicles where Tim Howes and Gary Campbell are looking to defend their title. These open-wheel machines are super spectacular in the right conditions, but the tight and winding sections of the Nkomazi 400 might prove tough for cars of this size. At the same time, the field had been reduced to just 3 runners, with class stalwart Sandra Labuschagne-Jonk and husband Jaco sitting this one out. This meant that simply finishing the race would put you on the podium, but Howes was keen on getting his campaign off to a good start.
I suppose there's a little bit more pressure, but I always put a bit of pressure on myself and just try and do as best as I can, so we'll do it again this year.
The 3 crews set off to conquer the Pirelli qualifying race on the Friday of the race weekend, and Howes certainly got his wish when the defending champion, again partnered by Gary Campbell, topped the charts. Bierman and Visser came home in second place, 4 minutes and 40 seconds behind the winners, with Dupree and Hutting losing 13 minutes and 49 seconds to Howes and Campbell, after the Farmers Meat crew stopped to assist a fellow competitor who had gotten stuck in a mud hole along the way.
Yeah, we had a clean run, unfortunately just caught up in some dust, but I think that's the same for everyone, so we got to the finish in one piece and we're very happy.
And here are the numbers. The qualifying race saw Howes take pole, followed by Bierman and Dupree. Next up, the main event. And in the main event of the special vehicle category, it was none other than Tim Howes and Gary Campbell in their Bad Spec 4 who enjoyed an excellent run to claim the first overall and Class A win on their way to defending their title. They finished in a time of 7 hours, 17 minutes and 9 seconds, with their closest rival Loert Dupree and Rickus Hutting in the Farmers Meat Striker second in Class A. And the last team at the finish after losing lots of time with gearbox problems. So Howes starts 2023 the same way he ended 2022, on top of the Class A standings ahead of Dupree.
It's actually probably the oldest car in the lineup, but it's tough and it's strong, so it can handle all the rough stuff, and we're very chuffed.
The big boys of Class T1